Hi everyone, we're moving right along with Spellbinder's 12 Days of Stitchmas. Day 6 is this beautiful present, followed by a gorgeous interactive bell. I've mentioned a couple of times that these stitching dies are beautiful stitched or not, so I've decided that I would now do one of each to illustrate that. 4 dies make up the present. The lid, the stitching die, and the outline die will be used to cut cream-colored cardstock, and the pretty bow will be out of purple glitter paper. And again, I'm incorporating the ornament hanger from day 1. And I'm back to the purple embroidery thread, which I've divided in half. The stitching for the present consists of 4 circles, 1 in each quadrant. I start my stitching in the center circle and then use a little bit of Scotch tape to hold the thread in place. The stitches will radiate from the center to the outside edges. The score lines on the die cut make it very clear where the stitches are to be placed. All of the projects to date have been quite simple stitching projects, and I only say that because I am not a seasoned stitcher. I don't have a lot of experience, and I figure if I can do it, anyone can do it. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I love to use Tombow glue on the back of any of these die cuts with stitching. When this adhesive is dry, and you'll know because it's clear, it is very tacky and it is also repositionable. Not only will the stitching be secure, but when it is adhered to another die cut, it will lay flat, and the bulk from the embroidery thread is absolutely not noticeable at all. I'm going to put it together using the ornament that is not stitched. Palette is the same, just opposite. The stitching detail die was used to cut purple glitter cardstock, which was adhered to a cream base. The lid for the present has a little flap which I place the adhesive on and then adhere the present to it. Cream-colored ribbon is adhered down the center of the present. The ornament hanger is tacked on to the back, and then I use my reverse tweezers to hold it in place until the glue is dry. And it seems to be secure enough that I can save myself a little bit of time while I'm waiting and put the purple embroidery thread on for the tie. And last but not least, the pretty bow die cut is adhered on top. Both ornaments are finished up with some gold crystal embellishments. Small ones are used on the lid of the present and larger ones on the present itself. And that wraps up day 6, and I think with or without the stitching, they both look fabulous. Now on to day 7 with this gorgeous bell, which has a cute and easy interactive element. This set is made up of 5 dies. Again, I'll be making this bell twice, one with stitching and one without. The stitched bell will be die cut from gold and then adhered to a cream base, and the opposite for the non-stitched one. I'm going to use cream embroidery thread, and my stitching will go on the gold die cuts. Again, the threads are too thick to use as is and are divided in half. The end of the clapper for the bell just has a simple little stitch circle, which takes no time at all to do up. And you'll notice that at the top of the clapper there is a die cut hole. This is to create the interactive element. Finish up with an itty bitty piece of Scotch tape to hold my thread in place. Stitching design on the bell is really beautiful, and I'm getting my thread held in place with a piece of Scotch tape, and then I'll start at the top of the bell with this half circle, and you can see that all of the score lines radiate from one die cut hole. And as I create each stitch, I make sure that I hold the thread of that stitch in place with my thumb as I complete the next stitch. This will keep the embroidery thread at just the right tension. The thread needs to be tight enough so that it lies flat, but obviously not too tight, otherwise the die cut will buckle. In the center of the bell, there are 3 stitching designs that are exactly the same as the large one at the top of the bell. One point where all of the stitching lines will radiate from to form a half circle. At the bottom of the bell, there's this cute zigzag design. I complete the zigzag line going in one direction and then come back the other way so that those lines will crisscross each other. Such a fun detail for this bell. When the stitching is completed, both the clapper and the bell are dotted with Tombow glue and then set aside to dry completely. When applying the adhesive, I make sure that I get good coverage. It is dotted on well to the die cut as well as the embroidery thread. I'm going to go ahead and put the bell together that does not have any stitching, and as you can see, everything is opposite. So I have a cream colored clapper that goes onto a gold die cut, and then a cream colored bell that goes onto another gold die cut. The decorative rim for the bell has been die cut from gold. I wanted it to have a little bit of dimension, so it has been adhered to a cream colored die cut and then onto the bell. And now for the cute and easy interactive element. I have a second plain die cut of the bell, and I center that circle die cut on the top of the clapper on the lower portion of the bell, and then pop a little foam square in the center of it. Foam adhesive squares are placed on either side of the interactive element and the top of the bell. This will ensure that the clapper will swing freely. It will also ensure that the clapper is going to stay in place and it won't fall off. The backing paper is removed. And before I put the other bell on top, I'm just going to make sure that the top of that clapper is moving freely around that foam square. Ideally, I would like to have used round foam adhesive, but I didn't have any. To put the top of the bell on, I line it up at the top and I actually hold it down and then lay the bell on top of the foam squares. I just double check to see if the clapper is moving freely. And I'll use the same cream embroidery thread that was used for the stitching on the other bell to make the ties for both of them. And both bells are finished off with gold crystals. Beautiful interactive ornament. And that completes days 6 and 7 of Spellbinder's 12 days of Stitchmas. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll come back and join me for days 8 and 9. As always, I appreciate your visit.